In today's video we will be discussing the IPCC's climate change report and what it means for developing nations, and how countries like the United States could be liable for damages. This new report on the effects of climate change will probably be the scariest evaluation to date of what increasing temperatures mean for all life on the planet. This will be the second of three significant reports from the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, IPCC, and its first since November's COP26 summit. Researchers and authorities will distribute their decisions on February 28. The research study will zero in vigorously on provincial effects as well as on urban areas and coastal residents. The IPCC completes these huge scope audits of the most recent exploration on warming each 6 or 7 years in the interest of political administrations. This arrangement of three is their sixth assessment report. Scientists are combined into three working parties that evaluate at the fundamental science, the size of the effects and the choices for handling the issue. For the majority of large cities and emerging nations, the report will feature that handling climate change isn't tied in with cutting emissions and hitting net zero soon, however, about managing undeniably more imminent dangers. It is always the immediate that takes precedence. So if you've got to deal with a big influx of migrants or a massive flood event, that's where the focus is going to be, said Mark Watts, the executive director of the C40 Group, a network of around 100 major cities that are collaborating to tackle climate change. In the global south, there really aren't any city climate program funds at the moment. Of those that exist, almost none of them are about adaptation. They're all trying to get poor countries that have relatively low emissions to reduce their emissions further, not about adapting to the impacts that they're already feeling. Under the umbrella of the IPCC, researchers dealing with the report, who all volunteered for this job, read and evaluate thousands of papers to sum up the most recent discoveries. They then, at that point, meet with government authorities to go through their discoveries line by line and, after arriving at an agreement, a synopsis of their discoveries is published. The review will likewise frame key tipping points that are probably going to be passed as the world warms, some of which are irreversible, like the devastation of the Greenland's ice sheets and regional climates. The report will go over some of the innovative answers for environmental change, yet is probably going to be very hard on the endeavors to reduce solar radiation or even to eliminate carbon dioxide from the air. In summary, the topics it covers will be more extensive than simply the science about what we can do against climate change. Home to an excess of 24 million, Lagos in Nigeria is Africa's most populated city, yet one that is enormously defenseless against flooding and ocean level rise. Exacerbating things is the issue of garbage and waste that gathers in trenches and waterways. Managing this issue could be vital to assisting the city with adapting to the destruction caused by the change in climate. One of the things that needs to change in Lagos to reduce that flooding impact is actually to get a grip of the waste management system, said Mark Watts from C40. Supportive investing in the city for them to get really strong municipal waste collection, proper household collection, and getting it properly treated is going to solve two things at once. The report will talk about social justice more, and it will talk about sustainable development more. It does talk about indigenous and traditional knowledge, not just published Western science, said Dr. Stephen Cornelius from WWF. This is about the impacts on people and nature, the risks they face, and the limits to adaptation as well. Fighting over words. As researchers and authorities meet over the internet to work out the last subtleties, a fight has arisen over the utilization of a critical phrase in the text. For quite a long time, third and second world nations have been attempting to get first world countries to answer inside the UN climate negotiations to the issue of loss and damage. They characterize the expression to mean the effects of climate change on nations that they can't adjust to, including extreme weather conditions like hurricanes, but also slow buildup storms and events like sea level rise and desertification. More wealthy nations have long gone against the idea, dreading they could be considered legitimately and monetarily accountable for centuries for the problems brought about by past emissions of carbon dioxide. Subsequently, this issue has turned into a tremendously disruptive policy-centered issue to all climate talks. In this new report, the IPCC researchers are looking to utilize a somewhat altered rendition of the term losses and damages, which they say has an alternate, less political significance. However, authorities from wealthier nations attending the endorsement meeting have protested, expecting that assuming that the thought shows up in a key report, it will be supporting those nations who need loss and damage to be the main concern for global talks. Overall, this report will pressure for immediate action on the removal of greenhouse gases and to increase spending for helping people affected by climate change to adapt. If the necessary steps are taken, then we will have steered clear of the worst of climate change's effects. Yet, this trust must be weighed up against the truth that is today's politics, as indicated by COSET professor Hans-Otto Portner. One key message has come out of previous reports: political will, in terms of climate action, is the bottleneck for a sustainable future.
The Earth is suffering from human pollution. Let's work together and share our knowledge to help each other build a new way of life, a new population, a new culture centered around love. Thank you for watching today's video. If you enjoyed it and learned something new, go ahead and smash that like button and subscribe to hear more about climate change, other issues the world faces, and the solutions to these problems. Realize. Realize, realize. Let's pursue the truth together as one. Thank you.